The FV217 Badger is an incredibly powerful vehicle after update 9.1. Previously, I wouldn't have said so, but yeah, it's a vehicle now that is pretty scary, and Wargaming knows that, and that's why it's for sale today, and for the next 2 weeks, of a price tag for 20,000 gold. Honestly, it's not a terrible price tag when you compare it to vehicles like the T77 or even the 752 for 20,000 gold. I don't think 20,000 is a terrible deal for the tank with the camouflage and everything else fully equipped. Now, obviously, if you don't have money to spend, this is one thing I always say. If you don't have money to spend, I wouldn't suggest to spend 20,000 gold on anything because that's like $75. Save you money, buy a couple sandwiches, you'll get further along in life. But if you have money lying around and you do want to get your hands on the Badger, I do think that this is not a terrible deal. If you want to get your hands on the Badger, and you might want to get a bit lucky, for 20% drop chance you can get your hands on the Badger, and if you don't get the vehicle, then you get around $20 worth of gold value at 6,500 back that, again, you could use either towards the Badger or just keep for safekeeping. I personally think that if you're going to get the Badger, you might as well get this container first, because you'll save money if you get the tank, and if you don't, you're only losing like $5, so it's not the end of the world. In today's video, though, we're going to be playing in the Badger, showcasing how to play the tank if you do get your hands on it, and yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about the Badger in the comments down below. I obviously made a tier list about 3 weeks ago since the update came out, and just about everybody in the comment section, I held a poll, and I think it was around 70% of people said the Badger should have been in the broken category, so I slopped it in there. And that's how I kind of see the Badger. After Wargaming buffed it, with the fact that it has 42 degrees of traverse speed, 3,870 DPM, and everything else going for it, this tank's basically got no weakness at this point. Obviously, it does have a lower plate, and I mean, its side armor and rear armor are still weak, but it's more down to the fact that as long as you understand how to use this tank, it is very easy to mitigate the weak spots it does have. So the enemy team has an AMX 50B, an IS-7, a WZ-113, and a T-110E5. That's a pretty devastating lineup when it comes to heavies. I mean, the E5 can pen me quite easily, the 50B can clip me, so I'm going to be a little careful, but as long as I'm able to put this tank in a position that's hull down, I'm not too worried. When it comes to mediums like the TVP, or even the enemies, well, actually they only have one medium, I was going to say another, but I was like, huh? But yeah, they only have one medium, which is good. The TVP is one of the worst mediums I could have fought, though, judging that the thing does have literally 1,240 damage in a matter of 4.5 seconds, but not much I can do about that. What we are going to try and do is sneak a shell, which we did, right to the side of the TVP. And yeah, that guy's probably not enjoying life too much after that. So we're going to start pushing on this T110E4. Let's get a nice shell into his engine deck. There you go. Nice 396 hit points right there. And with that, we're up to already 900. So our E5 is sitting hull down in a pretty solid spot, I would say. And what you're going to see me do is get hull down over here. This grill is not going to pen me, and we are going to pen him. There you go. As you can see, I'm perfectly hiding up my lower plate. And this is exactly how you want to use a vehicle like the Badger. Just hide the lower plate and you're basically impervious. There's a TVP, nice 575 max roll into his vehicle. I doubt he enjoyed that all too much. Now we got the 113 pulling off to my side. Didn't pen him, but it's just a warning shot. Nothing to worry about me. And, well, now we chill here again, and the 113 literally can't do anything. We might be able to get a shot into that grill, which we were able to for 517, making the grill now a one-shot for most of our team. This 113 is playing mighty aggressive, which means we're not going to pen him in the turret. I was going to say we were, but, yeah, missed by just an inch. But if we make our way over here, we should be able to pen that 113, which we can. Nice, okay. That's one pen into his vehicle, and then we can just continue the sit here. That grill really can't do much to us, neither can this 113, and as long as that 50B doesn't move on up, I think we are completely fine, and that seems to be the case. So instead of, you know, us being pushed on, how about we push on the 113, because this guy is about to be in a world of pain. There's one shot, World of Pain Blitz, where this 113 will be experiencing 5 levels of attraction. There's one shell, that's 2 shells, 540 we've taken off, and in 3 more seconds we're going to get another shell in 3, 2, 1, a kabong. Thank you very much. And with that, you may not have realized it, but we are up to 4,000 damage. I mean, the Badger is just stupid. So all that's left is the 50B in mid, who we might not be able to shoot. I don't know. Nor do I really care at this point. We've dealt enough damage to prove our point. Now, I will say, the Badger is very inaccurate on the move. Like, very, very inaccurate on the move. So that's one thing you gotta be careful about when this tank is played. It's something that I've always said, I've always hated about the tank, is the fact that when you drive on the move, it's literally like just throwing darts at a board 100 feet away. You're not gonna hit it. So it's a big problem with this tank. But honestly, I don't mind it after the fact that Wargaming buffed the DPM to such a ridiculous value. If you miss a shell, you get another in 7 seconds. So it's not too much of a downside at this point, and yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen, instead of traverse speed on this vehicle, its DPM and dispersion a bit better. Not dispersion, but on-movement dispersion. But it seems like Wargaming wanted it to be a bit more frontline capable, more than it already was, which is definitely the case. Now that the fact that it's got traverse speed, actually 20 more millimeters of side armor, and the more DPM, I mean, this thing is an absolute beast on the front line. Previously, the problem with it was down to the fact that it just got penned by heavies, and even if the heavy had the load premium to pen you, let's say an E5 pens you for 340, if you hit it back, and you hit it for 460, even if you're trading shot for shot, the E5, because it has like an extra 600 HP over you, most of the time still comes out enough to bring you down to a one-shot. And if you compare that to a vehicle like the 113 that just has an extra 400 hit points over a vehicle like the Badger, only losing, actually barely even lost DPM in the previous update, there really wasn't much incentive to drive this vehicle. It was slower than a 113, it had much worse on-movement dispersion, didn't have a turret, its traverse was bad. So yeah, to me, I just always saw the Badger as kind of a worse heavy. But now that it has the DPM and the frontline capabilities, it's a better heavy. A way, way better heavy. So the enemy team has what? An E100, a 60 TP, a Kampfpanzer 70, and a VK4502B. Okay, well, let's see what we can do here. I'm going to push up towards, obviously, hull down in mid. I'm a little careful about maybe like the waffle or the 268 sitting in that spot over there, but there's not really much I can do about it. It's just going to be luck if the enemy team puts tanks in that position. So there's one shell into the E100, and would you look at that? It's almost like I can predict when TDs are going to camp in the most irritating of spots. Yep, well, I guess I'm not poking this corner. That's the thing I always hate about this map, is down to the fact that, like, I get punished for playing my tank in an aggressive spot, the correct spot for this vehicle. Yeah, pain, especially because I'm literally the only thing that's going to be holding this side of the map, so that's also pain. But I'm going to continue to try and hold this, because if I don't, what's probably going to end up happening is the enemy team's going to push on over. So that's the 907. We do know that their TD is still sitting right over there. I'm just going to wait here. That's all I really have to do, because their team will eventually start moving. But, yeah. Okay, well, there is the 907, and thank you very much for 480 of your hit points. Now I'm going to back up, and we reload in 2 more seconds, and I don't think this 907 realizes that, so we're going to take another 440 health off, and there you go. Nice bounce from the E100. Let's put on our adrenaline, and kabonk, there you go. But, again, there's the 268 bopping off a large chunk of our health again. It's just pretty sad to see it honestly happening, but let's just back up. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and badonker. There you go. Let's angle it. Beautiful. We're getting more bounces here. As you can see, it's really just the TDs that are able to pen you, but I'm not too worried, because there goes the enemy E100, and with that, we have done our job. We've already dealt over 3,000 damage. Again, you don't realize it, but this thing just chews out damage like an absolute mad lad. So we're already up to 3,000. Now we're going to start pushing behind like this KPZ. Let's get one shell in right there, and I've put myself in a position to where this 268 does not have the opportunity to shoot me. But you know what I do? I have the opportunity to shoot him, so aiming, and a fire. And we missed, because, again, the very poor on-movement dispersion on this tank rearing its ugly head. Let's aim it on this 268. I might be detected, but the chances of him killing me are, I guess, high enough. Okay, we got 3 shot by a tank destroyer. That sucks. The Badger, as you can see, it's a fantastic tank. We still did 3,800 damage in this game, and we got high rolled by that 268, I think, almost all of the shells apart from the first one, so a bit of bad luck played into our game. But I do want to point out that this is a very good example of where the Badger falls very quickly behind. Tank destroyers have a lot of damage, and you only have 2,000 hit points in this vehicle. 3 shells from that 268, literally nothing else damaged us, and we died. And 1 shell from a 183 brings him from full to half. So you got to be really careful in this vehicle not to put yourself in a position to die. Obviously, I kind of knew what I was getting myself into here at the end of the battle, but it is a good example to showcase you cannot get away with YOLOing in the Badger. If you try to, you're going to throw for your team. Just because YouTubers say that vehicles like this can be really aggressive and they showcase pretty good games, most of the time when YouTubers show games, they're cherry-picked. They're false. They're not the actual games you're going to average in the vehicle, especially if you're not as good as them. And that's nothing against you. That's just saying don't YOLO in a vehicle like the Badger. It might have DPM, it might have armor, but that 268 clearly showcased a very easy counter. Just one vehicle as well. So, yeah, this was the yin and yang, hopefully, in today's video. Obviously, if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, as it does help the channel a crazy amount. But as I said, for the Badger, I wouldn't suggest to buy it unless you got some deep pockets, because there's no point to buy it. There's no point, in my opinion, to buy many premiums, especially when the 263 does a lot of the things the Badger does. I would only suggest to buy the Badger if you got the money for it, because it will probably come out cheaper for either the Blitz fair or other opportunities in the future. Either way, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.